Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's Product People community event. Today we have with us Paulina Lewandowski. She's a CEO and founder of Product Northstar. She has been working in product for quite some years. And today she will talk to us about, she has a talk with the title Value First, how to transform the way you work. And it's all about creating customer and business value and how to do it effectively. Before we get to the juicy part and before I hand over the word to Paulina, just some things, just a little bit about my background. I started in product management a little over 2 years ago. And yeah, I've been, my experience is mostly with startups. And yeah, one thing that I'm really passionate about is also about community building. And I've been working here at Product People, both at clients and supporting the community, also launching our new podcast, which you can check if you haven't yet. The first season is already out and the second one is coming soon. And a little bit about Product People. For the ones that don't know, we are a product management consulting company. We help companies discover and deliver great products faster. We have a group of around 40 interim product managers that do work at clients of all sizes. And we have different types of engagements, from doing more the product ownership role, but also like more on consulting, on strategy. So we do all the unglamorous work of product management, but also the high level and strategy part for some of the clients that we work with. And we onboard fast, we align teams and deliver results. Besides this, we also have the community. As you know, you're part of it. We have these weekly events with experts in the product management space. And we also produce regular content, so you can check our website for case studies on engagements that we've had in the past. And also our social media will regularly share content relevant for any product management person. And, oops, sorry. And before we jump into the talk, I just have a quick question, actually 2 questions. First one is, do you have a clear understanding of your product's value proposition? Yes, is it somewhat vague, or it's unstable or unclear? And the second one is, do you clearly assess business impact and customer value when prioritizing features? Always, sometimes, or rarely? And yeah, if you're here on Zoom, you can go ahead and vote. If you're on LinkedIn or YouTube or Facebook, you can just drop the answer in the chat. All right. And yeah, so from most people here, the product's value proposition is crystal clear, even though for some people it's somewhat vague. And regarding if you assess business impact and customer value, we don't have anyone answering rarely, which is great. But yes, most people still say only sometimes. So that being said, and now that you are already a little bit in the topic of value proposition, customer value, and so on, I will hand it over to Paulina from Product Northstar, so that she will let us know more about her experience and some recommendations on this side. Over to you.
Thanks so much. I'm just gonna share my screen. Just give me a second. 1 second. Yeah, I got it here. So, first of all, hi everyone. I can see my calendar probably. But what I want to share with you today is a presentation on how to use value creation for a more simplified approach to product. I hope you can all see my presentation by now. Okay, perfect, cool. So first of all, thanks for joining in. I'm really excited to be talking about this topic today. Thanks for showing interest in value creation. I think that's a super important and relevant theme, and actually the top theme for us product people. Before I really dive deep into the presentation, I just wanted to share with you, talking about value, what is it that you will get out of the session today? So I'd like to share some implication on how to make your and your team's work easier through a more structured way to deliver customer value. So I'm going to focus on customer value mostly. Obviously, this will translate to business value, but I'm going to show you a way to map customer value. And all this is in order to hopefully enable you to find a way to find ease in your work. Yeah. So I'm going to introduce you to the topic why I think this will make your life easier in product, but this will follow a bit later. Due to the time aspect, I think we'll be able to cover awareness, desire, and knowledge. So I'd like to raise some awareness for value creation. I'd like to raise a desire for a deeper understanding of value creation and product and the overall company. And I'd like to share my experience and knowledge. And what I hope I will enable with this presentation is that you transfer this into a later ability to basically apply the framework that I'm going to share with you on a daily basis. So this is what you hopefully get out of the session. And to give you a little bit of background, so where does my perspective come from? We've just been talking about this already a little bit. I've been consulting startups and scale-ups on how to build strong products with ease in the past few years. And I actually really want to focus on this area of building products with ease, because product is a very important area to work in, yet it can be very confusing, can be very overwhelming. And what I try to do is basically with all the startups and scale-ups I work with, just to bring clarity in their work place and bring therefore ease into their business. And the three commitments I always give to the clients I work with is business impact, process quality, and team success. So I commit to deliver business impact, to deliver processes that are easy to understand and of high quality. And I commit to enable the team to be successful even when I'm out after a project or launch or whatsoever. And by focusing on exactly those three, business impact, process quality, and team success, I realized that a lot of companies actually struggle with achieving those, specifically business impact, specifically team success, specifically product teams do sometimes struggle and, just finding their way towards success, because success is not being defined. And what I realized is that mostly it all comes down to our understanding of value and what a good value proposition is. What does it mean to deliver value? What is value to us as a company? What is value to me as a product person? Most of the things are not clear. And if that's not clear, we're just, wandering somewhere in our space without a clear goal. And this is why I decided that it's worth to just give a quick chat about this topic of value today. And I want to actually dock into this word team success. So especially when working with product teams, there is the thing that I observed that we don't focus on value. Now you may argue and say, yeah, but we talk about value all the time, but it's two different things. So one thing is focusing on value and make it your real goal to maximize value creation. And the other thing is to, talk about value and make it part of your definition of yourself or your role. And there are three things where I think that in these three things, this lack of value focus manifests. So first of all, just as an example, if you just Google product manager, product owner responsibilities, roles, or goals even, you just end up with a super long list of responsibilities, skill sets, attributes. But rarely you will find actually clear definition of what's the ultimate goal of a product person. Yeah. So you will, different pages will give you different skill sets that you need, etc. But few focus on the core. The second thing is, I think already lies in the way how we call ourselves. So we call ourselves, for example, product managers, and we rarely call ourselves product leaders. And I personally have a tendency to call ourselves, all of us, product leaders, no matter if you're like responsible for product team or not, because leadership implies a responsibility and it implies a end results. Leadership means guiding towards something, versus management means it has actually no concrete implication towards an end result. So this is already a tiny thing where I see that how we call ourselves has a important impact on how we live our role on a daily basis. And the third thing actually ties a little bit too into this picture that you're going to see there, or you see there on the right, which is, I think, from product school, inside of a product manager's mind, I think it was called. So we want to be everything to everyone, and while trying to be everything to everyone, like the best stakeholder manager, then dive into engineering, design, everything at once, we sometimes miss to focus on the big things. So what really matters, yeah. So all in all, I see there is a lot of things on our plate as product people, and we miss to focus on the core, which I see as the value and value creation. And now you may say, okay, so there's the observation. So what are the consequences? And from what I've seen and I've observed so far is that if we list responsibilities, skill sets, attributes, but rarely talk about the ultimate goal, we lose our focus. If we talk about management, but rarely talk about leadership, we lose control because we forget that we're the ones on the steering wheel and we're the ones to lead. No matter, if you call yourself junior product manager, whatever, it doesn't matter. You're product leader, you're there to lead. And the third one is, if we want to be everything to everyone, but we really focus time on moving the big things, we lose the impact. Yeah. And this in turn, I'd say, creates a situation where we lose the fun in products. And this is where I want to get back to. I see if we focus more on value, we get more fun out of the job that we're doing. And I think that every product person deserves to have a lot of fun in their job. Okay, so now what? 3 implications on how to bring value and fun to your work. Instead of thinking and responsibility, skill sets, and attributes, make maximum value creation your ultimate goal to find your focus. And just really make it your ultimate goal. Instead of talking about product management, lead teams and stakeholders towards value creation. Like focus on value creation and then lead towards value creation. And instead of being everything to everyone, measure and improve value creation to always prioritize impact. Okay. And I'm going to show you in a second how this translates into actually the daily doing. But before that, what is value creation? So you could take a business, there are different definitions for it. You can take a more business-like definition, which says enabling progress in a way that is beneficial enough for the customer to give you, the company, something valuable in return, right? It may be money, maybe attention, maybe clicks, and maybe whatsoever, whatever the currency is that you describe as valuable, but you have provided enough benefit for a customer so that they give you something in return that is valuable to you. And very often we see the process as identify the customer needs, then offer a benefit to enable progress, and then receive something valuable in return, and then we start the process. Okay, it's a always going on cycle. Yeah. So this is the definition of value creation I'll be working with here. So how to define customer value and work towards it. And this ties into the beginning of the session that we had and the questions that we had. I see 3 very important things, which is value proposition, benefits, and then lastly, products and features. So what we hear very often in products, don't focus on features, don't focus on products, focus on the value. But what do we actually mean when we focus on value? So how I work with the concept of value proposition and benefits is that I interpret value proposition as, in one sentence, actually the core job to be done that I, as a company or as a product person, solve for the customer. So this is the core job that is there to be solved, that I support the customers with. And then what are the benefits? The benefits summarize relevant sub-jobs that I solve to enable the overall value propositions, or pains I resolve or gains I enable. And then lastly, features or products. Those are just the things that I describe as tools that I provide to the customer to get the jobs done. Okay. And I think this is a very important hierarchy to understand. And in a second, you will see how I work with this in a visual format. So you just mentioned before, half of you, that yes, you always use the value proposition. It's crystal clear to you. Congrats, that's already a big step. Half of you said, it's somewhat vague. And I think there it is important to, when you feel that your value proposition is somewhat vague, this is already a little bit troublesome, because, if the value proposition is vague, so what are you working towards then? What's the value that you're ultimately providing if it's not 100% clear? So to encourage all those who said, it's kind of vague, to kind of dive deeper into the value proposition and think of, okay, what is it actually really? Why is it vague? And how can we as a company make it better understandable for all of us? Yeah, that's just as a general setup. Yeah. So in order to work towards value, I see that it's very important to understand value proposition, benefits, and then just on the last step, features. Okay. And how do I define value and work towards it in a visual setup? Like I just said, I see it very much in a map setup. I would propose to see it in a very simple value map. So your value proposition is at the top of your value chain or pyramid, however you want to call it, or map. And then from your value proposition, you derive benefits. Like, what are the key things, key jobs that I need to get solved for my customer so that I can actually reach the value proposition? And then you might have some features below. Again, you see the features come at very last. So they're not somewhere on the top. Nobody cares about your product in the end. They just care all about the value you provide and the benefits. And in this map, it's just a super simple map, to be honest. Actually, the maps that I've been creating for companies have been way more complex and way more complicated. And they have more than 3 layers. But understanding this map helps you a lot to see where value actually flows and how you can actually tie with your features or products into realizing a value proposition. And sometimes there are 2 different features paying into a benefit. Sometimes it's 1 feature. Sometimes, it can be different. This is just a very, very, very simple map that hopefully helps you to visualize how it can look like. Yeah. And let's make it a little bit more concrete. I'd like to imagine that you're working for a toothpaste company. And I know we're in a digital space, but let's pretend we're in a physical for now. I think the toothpaste example can be a very simple one, so that's why I chose it. So how could this super simple map look like for a toothpaste company? So at the very top, you could have a value proposition that says, impress with a beautiful smile in 8 weeks. Yeah, pretty concrete value proposition. It indicates that you have a very impressive smile, indicates a time constraint, and it's pretty clear outcome. Yeah, the benefits that might be related to this, or the jobs that the customer needs to get done to actually impress with a beautiful smile, could be you need to get rid of deposit between your teeth. You need to get white teeth, or you need to reduce inflammation somewhere, right? So this could be things that you would need to get done as a customer to be able to impress with a beautiful smile. We call this in a product space the benefits. What we advertise is benefits in marketing as well. So you will have white teeth in 8 weeks, or you will be able to reduce inflammation. But in fact, it's just jobs that need to get done. And then on the last layer, you then think of, okay, so how can I actually enable or realize those jobs or realize those benefits? And then potential features could be cleaning curls, whitening gel, anti-inflammation, whatsoever. Yeah. It's super simple, very rough draft of how a value map could look like. Now, how does this actually really help me, you might ask? And I'd like to propose you three different use cases. So what I really like about this value map is that once you've created it, it simplifies the way you look at building your product. So instead of diving somewhere in the space of possibilities, opportunities, this actually ties very, very much into Theresa Torres' Discovery Habits book and her opportunity mapping. It shows you where are actually my opportunities of crafting a product or crafting a new feature. And all the opportunities lie either at the top at the value proposition, or below. You can go deeper and deeper. You can, by asking yourself the question how, you always come a layer down below. Okay, so if you say, okay, there is Tom, he wants to impress with a beautiful smile in 8 weeks, you ask yourself how, then you come up with a set of jobs that need to get done, and you come up with a set of benefits that you can offer. And these three are just, a set. Maybe there are other ones, but it enables you to have a clear idea of what actually pays into what. So what is dependent on what, yeah? And by this mapping these kind of opportunities, it shows you where your innovation space lies, where your feature space lies, where you have even features that you don't need to enable this value proposition. So it enables you to question, what to build next, yeah? And it enables you also to understand what does it pay into. This is one case. And the second case is what I think in product we tend to be very busy with, is this map helps you to communicate with any stakeholder. So what I usually do is if I set up such a map and I have a good understanding of what's the value we're trying to provide and what's the benefits we're paying into with our product, I use this as a basic map for stakeholder communication. Because if then, a stakeholder comes up to me and says, hey, how about that great feature? I'll take the map and say, great, let's discuss how this feature can pay into realizing the value proposition, and how this feature can enable a benefit or can allow our customers to get their jobs done so that in the end they reach the value proposition. And if a stakeholder comes up with, hey, why don't we make the toothpaste yellow instead of white? I'll sit there and say, okay, let's look at the map and let's see what kind of, why would we do that? So how does that help us to reach the value proposition? And then again, in this toothpaste example, this may be very simple. I know that in your products it will be way more complex, but because it's even more complex, I'd say it's worth to try to establish such a map so that you can have it as a discussion base for stakeholders, for yourself, for your team, for anyone really, to have, a clear understanding of what are we doing here actually. Because the yellow toothpaste might actually not make sense for this kind of value proposition. If we're working towards a different value proposition, for example, while building toothpaste for children, it may make sense, right? But this is a completely different value proposition, and we should be aware of it. And the third case is, I think there's been a talk recently as well here with product people, where the topic of value has been slightly touched upon. And I heard there were questions of how do you define value, and I've heard that very often we say, oh, happy customers, and yes, and we can be more specific, and this value map enables us to understand, so why are customers actually really happy? And this value map especially on the benefits layer, enables us to understand what do our customers need to achieve or see as a result so that they believe we're leading them towards the value proposition. So just saying like, hey, Tom is super happy with the toothpaste. It's maybe not enough. Maybe it's important to understand, oh yeah, Tom realized that his teeth got wider and wider after 6 weeks or 4 weeks already, you know. But you'll be able to be more specific about what actually matters to customers once you've established this map. And while you'll be able to be more specific, you'll be able to measure customer happiness on a way different layer than you probably do today. And this again enables you to be more straightforward with product development and be more straightforward with how you deliver value, or be more straightforward with understanding whether you actually create value or not. Yeah. So especially on this measurement area, I believe that this can be very, very helpful as well. Yeah. So 3 takeaways for product people on this value map. I'd like to encourage everyone to try to map value to navigate through their value space. I'd really like, you know, just take this week and try to map your value space, you know, as a product person. I think that'd be a fun exercise to really realize, okay, so how does the value map I'm working towards look like? Be clear of your value proposition, the benefits and the features. This will also force you to see this as a map. And by the way, I really like this as well as a base for a homepage structure. You know, usually when I would design a homepage, I would exactly use this tree for communication and say, at the top, customers arrive at value and see their value proposition, then they see the benefits, and then only I communicate the features. So be clear about this, because this may be the key to successfully lead you towards value creation for your customers. By mapping it out, you'll understand starting point, your path of success, and your goal. And you will understand your range of opportunities and impact levers. So going back towards what I said before at the very beginning, make maximum value creation your ultimate goal. Yeah. Second, enable everyone to work towards the same value proposition. I know that in product, we talk a lot about creating a product vision and then working towards that vision. I get that. Talking about the value proposition and working towards the value proposition may be equally helpful, if not even more specific and more accountable. So, you know, instead of, or take your vision today and see if it reflects your value proposition to a degree that is high enough to hold yourselves accountable for whether or not you deliver value. Be transparent, specific about the value map, and use this for any conversation. Use this for any conversation with your team, with stakeholders, with whomever. And yeah, make it a starter for every prioritization or many prioritizations. I get that there is, you know, more things to prioritize than, you know, the benefits for customers. There may be like technical stuff, etc., that we work towards as well. That's not reflected in this value map now, but you know, if it comes to a customer value, use this map for prioritization. This will help you to lead teams and stakeholders towards value creation. And then the last thing, specify value to measure, learn, and iterate. What I think here as a sentence very important is being specific but wrong is better than being fuzzy and maybe right. So what I've seen as well pretty often is the idea that, you know, yeah, that might provide value, and being very fuzzy about what is actually the value provider in a setup, in a customer setup. And this map probably will force you to be very specific. And it may show you that you're wrong, but understanding that you're wrong is way more important than thinking you're right. Yeah, but being very vague. So use this to be specific, to be impactful, and to be able to measure better. Yeah. So this is just the 3 key takeaways that I wanted to give you. Try to do your own map. I personally didn't come up with this myself. I use 3 key books that helped me on the way, which is Value Proposition Design, where we talk a lot about jobs, Continuous Discovery Habits, where the opportunity map is a lot tied into the value map that I just showed you. And I like the book How to Measure Anything, because it shows that you can measure anything. And this map encourages you to measure anything. Yeah, and that's so far from my end. This was a little teaser talk about value. And I think the key takeaway is focus on value and discover the fun. Because just one more thing, going back to the many tasks that we have on our table as product people, I believe that if you come from the value aspect and you make this your key goal, a lot of things become easier. Prioritization becomes easier. Stakeholder communication becomes easier. Measurement becomes easier, you know? And this is the final thing that I wanted to, you know, give you today, making it easier and making it fun. And I encourage you to try it this week. That's it for me.
Cool. Thank you very much, Paulina. This was great. A lot of valuable insights and a lot of relatable things, like things that we use at Product People, not exactly with the same names, but I could see some of the ideas that you were using from the different references. Thanks a lot. It was really good. Yeah, now we have some time for questions. So everyone on any platform, YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, or if you're here on Zoom, feel free to drop your questions in the chat. Before we get to that, I will share my screen. 1 second. Can you all see my screen now? Yep. Cool. Yeah, so as I was saying, now you have some time to ask your questions. Paulina will stick around with us to answer all of them. I also have a couple of questions myself, but I will give priority to our audience. And before we dive into the questions, just a little bit more about Product People and how we can help you. What we do, as I said before, we do consulting, and we do both interim and fractional product management work. So from the junior product management work to the more senior or even C-level product coaching and consultant. We have a lot of people, in total 40 people in our team, that have different levels of experience and industries of expertise that can help you in mostly anything product related. And so if your company is in need, like typically one typical assignment that we have is when you have a parental cover, or when you lost your product manager and you're hiring a new one, we can fill in those gaps. So that can be a good way to engage with product people. But also for coaching the C-level, if it's a startup getting started in product management, these kind of things, we also have a lot of experience in those. Just a little bit also in my screen just froze. Sorry. Yeah, we are not recruiters, so our product people are part of our company and they will do work. We work actually in a product management trio. So we have a buddy, a customer facing PM, and also a supervisor that goes on these missions at our clients. And we are also not a freelance marketplace, and we're not a development and design agencies. We work with other agencies if needed, but we are really specialized in product management work. And here you can see some of our clients. I'm sure you recognize some of the names: Zalando, FreeNow, Blinkist. We work with companies of very different sizes, from scale-ups to international organizations. And we also have a quite good feedback from our clients, which keeps us happy. Here are some stats about our people and our work. We have worked with a lot of different teams and different companies. And also an interesting stat that we have, and we're very proud of, is that we are more than half women in our team, which is always a good thing in tech, particularly. And yeah, this is us. There's still a open spot there for you if you want to join Product People. At the moment, we are not actively recruiting for product management position, but if you go to our website, you can see that we have a talent pool. So if you're interested in joining, you can do your application there. And when the time comes, yeah, we will reach out to those people in the talent pool. At the moment, we are hiring for a sales role. So if you're hearing us and you're more in the sales side of things, but you're also interested in product, this can be a perfect opportunity for you. That being said, let's get back to the topic and to the questions. And yeah, let's see if we already have some questions. If you are here, feel free to drop questions in the chat. But maybe I will start with one question from my side while other people also add their questions. And at one point you mentioned that it's important that as a product manager, you are not only a manager, but also a leader. What would be your recommendation for someone as an individual contributor, as a product manager in a company where the senior leadership in the company doesn't give that autonomy or level of freedom to take care of the high level stuff and only wants you to focus on the tickets and the bugs and managing the backlog? What would be your recommendation for someone in that situation?
Yeah. So there's a sentence where people say like, ownership can't be given, it must be taken. And I think this is it is a crucial sentence for everyone to take this on into their work life, part of life, whatsoever. And you know, sometimes for your supervisor, leader, however you want to call it, it's not entirely clear, you know, what your ambitions are. And making them explicit, saying that you, in order to grow as a product person, you need to find an area of responsibility, ownership, and leadership is the first step towards going there, right? And I believe that whatever you do, there is an area you can take ownership in. And I think the simple answer is like, just, you know, don't wait for anyone to give you ownership, and take it and raise it. And I think this can only show your supervisor that you're a very ambitious human being and that you see things. And I think in order to take the step as well, to take ownership, getting clarity of what the potential opportunities for you are is also an important part, right? So instead of just saying, yeah, I'd like to have ownership, being clear and specific about where are areas that I could actually really lead. And then knowing your stuff is a precondition to identify those areas. But for sure, there are some. I don't think that there is only tickets and bugs to be fixed. There is always an area of leadership, because there's always things to improve and always progress to find. And as a product person, I'm sure that whoever is out there, they have the sense of progress and wish for progress. So if you have that, find it and then go for it.
Cool. Yeah, and actually maybe this mapping the value proposition and the benefits can be a good way to start, and something that you can proactively do if the leaders are not worried about it.
And it can also show you that you're not really, you know, it can also show you that you're not really clear what kind of value you're working towards. Then this is also a topic to raise, right? In the team, in the entire team, just like asking the team, are you guys aware of what we're actually working towards? What's the ultimate goal? And if not, you know, this may trigger conversations that then lead into new areas of opportunity for you to grow, for example. Yeah.
Cool. All right. We have a question here from Maria on YouTube. With some of us saying that we feel that the value proposition is somewhat vague, do you have any recommendations on how to best define the value proposition? And maybe here, like specifically like tactics or how to phrase it, these kind of things would be interesting.
Yeah. So I agree. So you know, as easy as this map looked like now for the toothpaste company, as I said, these maps can be very complex and wide for digital products. And actually, just as they say with writing an essay that is half a page long, just bringing the key points across is more difficult than writing 3 pages. It's the same holds true for value proposition. What I generally focus on is to make sure that the value proposition is goal oriented. So what's the ultimate goal? You could see that in the toothpaste example. So my ultimate goal is I want to impress with a beautiful smile in 8 weeks. It was pretty specific. You know, compared to some product visions that might be very far in the future and not be very specific. It should be goal-oriented, specific, user-focused, and it should be actionable, something you could, you know, work towards and you could hold yourself accountable for. If you can tick off these 5 things, you're already, you know, far. And then there's you could see the sample that I gave you before of asking the how and why questions. You know, the more, you know, if I would ask then again, so this person wants to impress with a beautiful smile in 8 weeks, I could ask why. So then I would come a layer further up, right? And then this could declare this as value proposition, then the layer further up. But I decided to stay on this layer because this is more actionable for me. Everything above might be too fuzzy then again. So how to get there, like following these 5 points I just mentioned: actionable, goal-oriented, specific, customer-focused. 5th one I forgot now, sorry. Following these. And then this comes actually also in the process of mapping, you know. Maybe this is very important to mention as well. It's not always that you start at the top and you say, this is my value proposition, and then you just, you know, go down. Sometimes you map and then you figure out, the value proposition is not phrased in a good enough way. And actually this, what I just showed, the value map, is a work in progress thing. You know, you keep on iterating until you figure out what is it actually specific, the value that we provide. So it may be a process of iteration. So if you don't have it yet, you know, this may encourage you to keep testing, to keep understanding. And then based on tests, questionnaires, user interviews, whatever you use, specify it a bit deeper. Yeah, I hope that helps a little bit.
Yeah, cool. Thank you. I hope this answers your question, Maria. Yeah, I think that's really good answer, especially the part that you mentioned, like going one level up and like kind of going a bit up, bit more high level, a bit more low level, and try to find the balance between being specific enough and actionable enough, but also being like aspirational and giving a broader direction and not be too granular. It's really valuable insight. Cool, thank you for that.
Just maybe we always say like the results are only as good as the questions we ask. And I think this is the key here, right? So keep asking those why and how questions and go layers down and above and see where where you come up with a team, you know. So yeah.
Cool, nice. Thank you. Yeah, I have another specific question about the framework that you're using. So you're mapping features to specific benefits. Does it make sense to map one feature to multiple benefits, or would you rather like split that feature in sub features or something like that?
No.
How do you see that?
Yeah, in terms of mapping, yes, you can have a benefit, and then you can have a job that needs to get done, and you can have a feature that solves multiple jobs. You know, there's nothing wrong about that. Yes, short answer is yes, you can have a feature that pays into different benefits. Yes.
All right, cool. And I have another one a bit more general, let's say, but it's about business value, like the relation between customer value and business value. What would be, so I mean, for grown-up companies, let's say, this relation is typically clear, but for startups, most of the time it probably isn't. What's your approach when in a startup, for example, the customer value doesn't have a clear relation to the business value? Do you have any thoughts or recommendations on how to do that path?
I mean, if the customer value has no clear connection to the business value, then maybe there is no customer value. That's maybe a part. So, so typically, like the setups that I usually have is that, you know, companies approach me and say like, we don't know if this product works. And then we dive deeper and figure out that, the customer value that we declared as customer value is actually not a value. So the features that we're providing are actually not valuable. So this is most of the times, this is the reason why, we can't see any business impact, or the product's not selling or whatsoever, because there is no real value. And this is exactly the part where I say it's important to keep measuring, to use these benefits, to be specific about them, and then to measure what is not valuable about that. What did we misinterpret there? And from actually what I experienced so far, this was mostly the reason why we couldn't connect customer value to business value. Because when it comes to the definition of value creation that I just mentioned at the beginning, if you're deep into value creation, the benefit and the progress that you're providing to the customer is high enough that they would, give you something else in return. And this is why I say, when you talk about value creation, it's way more than just saying happy customers. There must be enough value to receive something in return. Yeah. And maybe this value is just not high enough, or is being satisfied by a different company in a better way,
Yeah, that makes sense. Cool. Thank you for the answer. Do we have any other questions? Maybe I think we don't have more yet. If you have a question, please drop them in the chat, and we'll pass it over to Paulina. Just giving a short minute to see if anyone has any other question.
Other than that, I'm always happy to answer questions on LinkedIn or whatever medium you might want to use.
Yeah.
I'm really
Super cool. Yeah, I don't see any other questions popping in. So yeah, I think thanks a lot. I think we can wrap it up. Thanks a lot for your time and sharing your knowledge and experience, Paulina. And also thanks everyone for attending. In any of the platforms, you can always join our meetup page to follow to be notified when we have a new event, and also to join here on Zoom so that you can ask questions directly and interact with our guests. Also feel free to join our chat, community chat, and also check our podcast, which we will soon be launching the second season. And yeah, that's all. Thank you very much, Paulina, and thanks everyone for watching us.